Hey guys, another a follow-up on the first hinge shooting video I made with my trusty B3 Infinity Pro again. This time I just want to reiterate some of the initial thoughts, but also talk about pulling into your back wall and how that might impact the way you shoot a hinge and how it is impacted upon by the let-off of your bow. So the first compound bow I had only a couple of months ago was a bow that could be set between 90 and 95% let off. So it allowed me to be a little bit more casual, I suppose, pulling into my back wall to then execute the shot. This bow goes between 80 and 85%. So I need to be on top of things a little bit more, okay? Not just because there is a risk of an accidental discharge, which has happened to me, but also because it requires a bit more effort to pull into it to keep my pin steady when I get to anchor. So pulling into the back wall involves pulling in a straight line when you've only really got the release in these fingers, kind of like this. The second you put pressure with your ring finger, that's when it's going to go off. So I'll show you now what it looks like pulling into my back wall without putting any pressure in this area, and the bow won't go off at all. Okay? I know people get a bit nervous wanting to do it with a hinge, but it's good practice. So here I am, I haven't got to my click, and I'm actually pulling into my back wall to keep steady. Okay, now I'm relaxing a bit. Now I'm pulling again, relaxing, and down we go. So I'm not necessarily saying you have to pull with all your might into your back wall, but it's just a cue that I have developed to help maintain how steady, to maintain my pin being a bit steadier. It does tire me out quicker, but it's been good practice for me. Having said that, the cue to pull in this direction or have your elbow come around like this when you're really pulling heavily into your back wall can be a little bit difficult. So that's when people might tend to talk about relaxing these fingers to make the release go off, and that's something that might work for you. It's something I can certainly do as well, but I'll let a couple of shots go here and maybe talk through them afterwards. Now I'm starting to pull. I find that really pulling into my back wall when I hit that click helps my mind and my body and my muscles understand the difference between pulling to hit the back wall and then pulling to execute the shot and have the release go off. Pulling really hard into my back wall now, but I'm not hitting my click, just to show as an example. Now I'll hit my click, watch my fingers. Keep going in that direction and make it go off. A little bit out of alignment there, so I hit my puffy jacket on the sleeve, which you may have heard. Another one. Pulling into your back wall really hard helps to ensure that you're pushing into your bow with your bow hand as well. So click and pulling. As I'll do some a little bit from this side now, just to again show that I really find that pulling into my back wall helps with the idea of pushing into my bow with my bow hand. I'm not talking about excessive torque and gripping it and doing anything weird with it like this. I'm just talking about pushing into it, which helps the bow hand drive towards the target with a proper follow through. But it also helps with pulling into the back wall, particularly with my stand resistance release, because it is also in a way increasing the poundage for the shot to go off. So watch the bow hand a little here, still with the hinge. Hopefully the hand is just driving forward the way it needs to. I don't believe I've actually shot this bow before wearing this big puffy jacket, so I'm hitting my sleeve just a little bit there, but it's not making contact with my arm, and it wouldn't be if I was wearing a regular shirt. But it's a bit chilly here today. One more, I'll try and get the bow right up close. Do a couple more here, guys. I've taken off that big puffy jacket because the likelihood of me shooting an animal while wearing that's fairly low. I might still get a bit of an arm guard to practice with it more, but what I am doing is practicing with gloves because I'm going for a hunt in the Victorian winter, potentially after sambar deer, and holding onto an aluminium bow on a brass release in the cold is torture. So I'm going to practice some of the things I've been talking about in the last couple of hinge videos with gloves to demonstrate that it's, if anything feels different in the way I'm pulling or executing the shot with my gloves, it's something I need to know about before I come to full draw on an animal. So yeah, I'll just let a couple go here and see what happens. One of my arrows came out the quiver briefly, but that's fine. I mustn't have put it in there properly. One more from this side and then we'll go to the other side. Again, making sure we're paying attention to the way my bow moves forward towards the target at the shot as part of the cue of pushing and pulling. If you're somebody who tries this and you find it doesn't work for you, and the need to sort of be really physical and pull into the back wall and pull to execute a shot like this doesn't work, and you'd much prefer to just relax a lot more and be doing these ones, and that's fine. I'm still working my way through this just like plenty of you guys might be, so it's not necessarily like what I'm saying is gospel. I'm just experimenting with different things to see not only what feels the most natural, but also the most repeatable and the most accurate. Watch my elbow as I pull around to the click. Maybe you wouldn't notice much. Now keep paying attention as I pull through the shot. With a bit of luck, the cue that I got from Tom Clum during a traditional bow seminar was trying to pull my elbow to my tailbone. So it's not a case of pulling in a straight line backwards, because that's a good way to destroy your shoulder in this area, but it's very much pulling around like this. So I'll try and execute a couple more like that, and then I might let a couple go out of the resistance release, and then I'm going to go inside and put a jumper on. Really pulling into my back wall on this one. Couldn't say it in the process, but even though maybe you could see me just shaking a little bit with how hard I was pulling. I was pulling into my back wall so hard then, but it was just a slight change in the direction of where my tension was going. So I still got to my click very subtly, even though I was pulling probably a lot more than what I would in most of my shots. Do a bit more of a gentle one. In the terms of this resistance release, it's a really good training tool for what I've been discussing with the back wall, because it helps your body get used to how much tension you should be using to let the shot go off. And you can set it up to, you know, function in slightly different ways if that's something that you want to do. But I find if I get lazy and I don't pull into my back wall quite enough with this release, when I take my thumb off to start executing my shot, it takes a lot longer to build up that tension before it goes off, so it's very tiring, and often I'll be slightly out of alignment, so I won't feel like I'm pulling the way I need to. Or it could go the other way and I get right into my back wall and I take my thumb off, and then it's just a little bit of tension and it'll go off. So again, it's just finding what works for you without going too far either side of the range of extremes. I know a couple of people who actually set these up a particular way, and when they go hunting with them, they just pull into their back wall like monsters and take their thumb off to make the release go off. They're successful hunters, so whatever works for them, but yeah, I just haven't got the confidence to hunt like that. One more, just because, just trying to emphasize the cues in my brain and my body that a shot with a hinge is essentially activated by tension going in the right direction.